Okay, let's dive right into this. Today, we're taking a look at the wild, fascinating story behind what's arguably the most important hardware company in the world right now, Nvidia. In this explainer, we're going to map out exactly how this company rose to absolute global dominance.
You know, it really is the ultimate tech paradox. How exactly did a scrappy little startup from the 90s, a company whose biggest claim to fame was making PC games look just a bit prettier, transform into the absolute foundational pillar of modern artificial intelligence? I mean, it's a journey that kind of defies logic in a lot of ways. But as you'll see, it's a brilliant study in timing, incredible engineering, and honestly, a massive amount of risk.
To really grasp the sheer scale of Nvidia today, just consider this: Microsoft, Google, Meta, Amazon, Tesla, and OpenAI. 6 massive tech titans, and they all completely depend on Nvidia's chips. These fierce competitors are literally lining up for hardware made by the exact same vendor. Without Nvidia, the most advanced products and services from these giants simply couldn't even operate.
But this was absolutely not an overnight success. What we're really looking at here is an accidental empire. From their founding back in 1993 through those huge hardware releases in '99 and 2006, all the way to today's explosive AI boom, it's a hard-fought, decades-long journey of survival and invention. So let's break down exactly how this whole thing unfolded.
Section 1. Gamers to near bankruptcy. The 1993 origins.
Let's flash back to the very beginning. 3 engineers, Jensen Huang, Chris Malachowski, and Curtis Preem, founded the company with one singular goal: to totally transform computer graphics. Back then, PC gaming was just starting to catch on in the mainstream, right? And computers desperately needed specialized processors just to handle fast-paced gaming visuals. So to go from that super niche gaming focus to training massive artificial intelligence models today, it's an unbelievable pivot.
But getting to that pivot was incredibly difficult. Despite having some early hits with gamers, Nvidia faced fierce competition in the 90s. The stakes were immensely high, and they actually nearly went completely bankrupt. A lot of people in the industry genuinely believed the company wouldn't survive. Offices were literally emptying out, and the pressure was just suffocating.
Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds: the GPU and CUDA, turning points. Everything changed in 1999 when Nvidia launched the GeForce 256. Now, this wasn't just some standard product upgrade, it was an entirely new category. It was the world's first GPU, or graphics processing unit. By offloading all that complex graphic rendering from the computer's main processor, it completely revolutionized the industry. And crucially, it gave Nvidia the financial stability they desperately needed just to survive. Now, what's really interesting about this next piece is that the true magic elixir for the upcoming AI era actually came in 2006 with a technology called CUDA. Basically, CUDA allowed developers to program GPUs to perform complex, parallel mathematical calculations instead of just pushing pixels to a screen. And because rendering graphics happens to perfectly mirror the parallel math you need for neural networks, they were laying a foundational computing architecture for a future the world wasn't even ready for yet. At the time, though, developing CUDA was a massive gamble. As they say, very few people understood its importance. It was this enormous investment in a capability that everyday consumers just didn't care about. But years later, researchers realized that the parallel processing power unleashed by CUDA made Nvidia's chips absolutely perfect for training artificial intelligence models. So this highly misunderstood gamble, it completely laid the groundwork for where we are today. Which brings us right into Section 3. Powering the AI revolution, the modern boom. The ultimate tipping point finally arrived with the launch of ChatGPT. When generative AI hit the mainstream, global demand absolutely exploded overnight. Suddenly, every single company saw the potential of artificial intelligence, and more importantly, they realized they needed an unbelievable amount of raw computing power to train those massive models. The whole world was demanding AI, and Nvidia was just sitting there, perfectly positioned to provide the critical infrastructure. And the scale of this demand is almost hard to wrap your head around. Look at this list. You have Microsoft, Google, Meta, Amazon, Tesla, and OpenAI. These are fierce competitors who usually build their own walled gardens, right? But suddenly, they're all rushing to buy up Nvidia's AI chips. They needed massive data centers, AI servers, and advanced cloud infrastructure, like immediately, and Nvidia was the only clear answer to all of it. This unprecedented rush triggered an absolute financial explosion. Just look at the difference here between Nvidia's pre-AI revenue and the AI boom era. It is phenomenal. Their valuation completely skyrocketed,
basically transforming them overnight into one of the most valuable companies in the history of the world.
Section 4. The foundation of tomorrow, beyond gaming.
So the crucial point here is that today, Nvidia's reach extends way beyond traditional tech. Obviously, they dominate AI, but their chips are also the brains behind advanced robotics. They process the massive amounts of real-time visual data needed for autonomous vehicles to navigate our streets, they power sprawling cloud computing networks, and they're accelerating cutting-edge healthcare and scientific research. The company that once just built hardware to make video games run smoothly has literally become the foundation of our entire future.
Which leaves us with a pretty critical question to consider. What happens to the future of technology now that it relies so heavily on a single hardware company? We've seen how Nvidia built this empire over decades, right? Surviving near ruin to become the undisputed king of AI. But as we look toward a world run by AI networks, autonomous robots, and self-driving cars, it really forces us to wonder what it means when the architecture of tomorrow rests largely on the shoulders of one giant. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope this helped illuminate just how deeply Nvidia is shaping our future.